So let me just close this window here. We'll start on all fours if you want to make your way down to your mat with something called tiger drinking. So we'll have the hands facing each other. So fingers facing in. You might want to go fairly wide with the heels of your hands. You don't have to be too narrow. So open it up a bit. Start in a neutral spine type position, flat position. And then just bend your elbows and imagine you're drinking water out of a pond. Not if you're human, but maybe if you're a tiger. Inhale, we'll arch the upper back, tailbone goes up, and then round into angry cat, sending your tailbone under and your top of the head to look down. So let's do 5 of those. So inhale, dip down, arching, try to target the upper back area, and then rounding, stretching the whole back spine. Inhale to go down, spread the elbows, make sure you don't want to get too pinchy in the collarbones here. And then widening, spreading the shoulder blades, curl the pelvis. You should feel your abdominals as you round. And let's do one more, arching down, drinking, exhale, curl. Let's stay in the rounded position once you're up there. Keep the curl, the tailbone tuck. Now we're gonna go side to side. So this was kind of like if you're stuck inside a barrel and you're cleaning the inside of it. So slither to the right, bend your elbows, I guess, slither down towards the floor and then up the left side as you round again at the top. So we go right, I'll face you, over to the left, round, and you sort of go into friendly cat at the bottom of the barrel, angry cat at the top. And when you're done about 3, just reverse it. So you go side, left, dip down. Just really try to get into all those spinal bits, articulations. Last one. And then we'll come back through the center, and from there, we'll just come all the way up to high kneeling. So at this point, you may want to, if your knees are happy, don't worry about it, but if you need to put something under the knees. Okay, so just, let me just go sideways here. So just think of hinging backwards a bit. So your torso kind of goes forwards. You're halfway down or so towards your feet. And then you can have your toes tucked under for this one, by the way, or not, it's up to you. And then squeeze your hips forwards. So we're just squeezing the glutes. We're getting the hips to open in the front. So we hinge. And then we squeeze forward. And with that, if you want, you could put your hands in arms in genie position, just so it's a little more official. So inhale, sit, exhale, squeeze forward. So 2 more of those. Okay, now as we arrive at the top, straighten the arms, let's say thumbs up. And now just basically just keep the same shape, lean backwards a little bit more, a little bit more. Now as we come up, we're gonna do 4 arm scissors. So we'll go for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then arms ahead, we lean back, keep the ribs collected, just find the maximum spot that works for you. Press forwards, another set of scissors, 2, 3, 4, and then next one, let's go back, stay there. And this time while we're back here, just for a change of pace, let's do the scissors back here for 4, a little harder, 3, 2, 1, arms forward, we come forwards. And then the very last thing, we'll do a kind of a bow and arrow type thing. So bend or pull your left elbow back, look in that direction, lean back. You can reach far with the right arm, so you're really getting a tiny bit of a twist, not in the hips, but in the ribs. Press back, and then pull the right. I always call, is that the arrow, I guess? Or maybe it isn't, it's the bow. Obviously, I need to do some archery lessons and come forward. So we just keep going, pull left, squeeze forwards. One more time, pull right, squeeze forwards, good. And then we're going to put the hands down on the floor again. This time, this is called camel drinking, actually. Change the animals here. So if you're in a quadruped, just step the right hand forward 1 hand's distance, and the same with the left. So you're just a tiny bit ahead of your shoulders, a little bit. So this is not necessarily a hard exercise, but you get a lot out of it if you can keep good form. So if we just bend our elbows straight down, so without doing anything else, so your elbows try to bend towards the floor, not out to the side. So it's different than tiger. We're keeping the elbows parallel. And then lean into the center of your palms, right where your knuckles are, and just bow down. So your pelvis, you can even lift your shins, you don't have to, but just trying to accent the triceps. We're not sagging the ribs like this, we're keeping the core collected for this one. And then we just straighten back up. And one thing I'll add here, let's look a little bit ahead of us, like we're looking out into the desert. So the camel starts to bend the knees. We're not going to quite touch the floor with the elbows, wrap the elbows in. I'm picking up the fingertips just to exaggerate this. You don't have to do that. But sometimes people will be only on the heel of their hand as they do this. Try to get the weight in the center of the palm. So we're just doing a hip hinge. We ease down, press back, Yeah, it's not a push-up. It's not military style. It's not elbows. I'll show you from the front. So it's not like that. Elbows in. So you and really lean, like you're pouring all your body weight into your hands. So suddenly an easy exercise becomes a lot harder. So let's do 2 more with that intention. Slowly down. So we're not using the muscles that were strong. We're probably going to be stronger in the chest. We're trying to accent the triceps. We're looking a little bit ahead. And when you're all done, straighten back up. Walk your arms even further. And then pull your hips back. You don't have to be sitting right down on your heels for this one. Just stretch the whole back of your spine. Your forehead can be down on the floor if it wants to be, or a little bit up. Just stretching out your shoulders. So we'll take a breath or two there. And then we're going to come up to standing. So whenever you're ready, we're going to roll on up and step 1 foot forward, and you can bring yourself up. I'll just switch my monitor, then I can actually see everybody because I'll face you. All right, I'm already sweating. It's hot today. Okay, so why don't we grab, oh, I don't know if everyone has a band, so let's do this instead. So simple squats. You can have your feet hip or pubic bone distance apart. So maybe 2 fist distance apart is probably around hip socket. And we always think our hips are way out here, but they're not. The sockets are pretty narrow. So 2 fists is usually about right. Okay, so with that, just do a plie. So bend your knees. I'll go sideways, just straight. And then from that position, we're going to try to keep the chest fairly upright. So just get the weight into your forefeet. We're going to reach out like we're holding ski poles. So we just go down as low as we're comfortable. So we inhale. So the weight is in the front of the feet more than the heels. But when you press out of it, you can press back. So now you're standing on your heels again. Oh, the weight is more in the heels than the ball of the foot. So when you bend your knees, the weight slightly goes forward, and we keep it forward as the lower we go into our skiing position. Inhale. And then we press up. So let's do 4 more. So we sit and just feel the weight pressures in the feet slightly change as you come up. It's just a small detail, but sometimes it can help the knees actually. So if you're back on your heels right here, it doesn't work so well. So you want to be more in the front of your foot, but as you come out of it, you shift more onto the heel. So let's do 1 more. We go down. Now this time, as we come up, we're going to do a calf raise. So you're going to press up, lift the heels, and then we pop down. Inhale. So exhale, pop, well, I shouldn't say pop, rise up, and then we drop into the squat. Exhale up and down. You can even slap your floor if you want, if nobody objects to that. Up, there's no one underneath you, and down. 2 more. Drop down into it. So we're just changing the speed a little bit. Last one, let's stay low. And then from here, just relax your arms. I'm gonna hang out here for a bit. You don't have to keep your chest excessively lifted. You might want to relax a bit if it's feeling this in your back. You want it more in the legs. Shift all your weight into your right leg and pick up your left foot. You can put your toes down on the floor if you want, or you can make a more challenging foot off. Now stay like that. We're going to press up onto a 1 leg standing position. Go back down, reaching like you're about to pick something up. Put your left foot back down again, glide to the left. Sit back in your hips so you can easily, more or less easily pick up your right foot. Standing up, ooh, wobbly on this leg. And again, so we go down on 1 leg, like we're picking a giant weed out of the garden. We glide to the right, pick up your left, press up, straighten the leg. Just play with that. We'll do a couple more rounds. Get better as we go. Foot down, glide, pour the weight. So let the weight go into the floor first before you lift your foot, so you're ready. And let's do 1 more. So we go down, glide center, over, up. Great. So last one, let's just finish in the middle. Better get to center. And then from there, just relax down, forward fold, soft knees. Weight in the front of your feet a little more. Feel free to put your fingers on the floor or on your yoga block or book. Take a breath in, and let's roll our way up 1 vertebra at a time. Great. All right. So once you're up, 1 more thing, just to challenge our calf muscles a little bit. So we're going to just take a little step forward and catch ourselves on 1 leg. So that's the premise, and then we'll make it a little more exciting. Let's stick with the same leg. Next time, you're going to sort of toss your arms up, land. There's going to be a little wobble, like you can see in my leg, and then we come back. So just try a couple more like that. So you're catching yourself. So you can make this quite small, especially if you're dealing with some stuff. But if you want to make it a little bigger, harder, that's fine. You make it as big as you want. So 1 more, landing on a soft knee. Good. And let's switch legs. So you can start small if you want. See how that leg reacts. Come back, Go sideways. Whoa. Just like we're trying to, just watching the gymnastics at the Olympics. Amazing how they, a little harder the way they land. But this is the beginning of the same thing. Good, and one more, make it as big or small as you feel appropriate. Great, and then let's walk to the back of our mat so we can roll down, walk into a downward dog type shape. Make it fairly long, this one. Don't worry if your heels are a little up because we will be migrating into a plank in a second, so make it quite long. And we're going to take a breath in. As we exhale, let's bring the head forward so we're easy into a plank. You can always put your knees on the floor if you want, or just keep the knees up. Let's go back up into the down dog. Now, as we progress this, or just to change it up a bit, next time you come forward into the plank, just slightly, or not slightly, but pull your right knee towards your right wrist, and then back into your down dog. Exhale, we come forward, left knee towards left wrist or elbow, forearm, and back. But you can skip that too, so just do what feels right. We'll just play with that pattern a couple more times. I'm keeping a fairly neutral spine today. There's different ways to do this. Great. Last one, let's go forwards. Now pull the knee first to the right, then to the left, and then you're going to straighten and put the outside edge of your right foot on the floor. Over to the left, sorry, I should have been more specific. And then we'll get out of here in a second. So put the foot back, downward dog, and then we'll just do one more. Sorry to sneak that in on you today, but we'll go plank, left knee towards left wrist, then angle it to the right wrist, and then just straighten the leg. Not just, because it's quite a big stretch usually, to the right. And then put your foot back into plank, lower the knees, and let's rest in child's pose. Just take a few seconds for yourself. Breathing, and then we'll slowly roll up. Grab your band. If you don't have a band, don't worry about it. Just do, you could use a yoga strap and sort of fiddle with it that way. We're just gonna do some rollbacks. You could do it without a band too. Lots of ways to do the same exercise. Let me just see, so let's see. Oh, good, I think we all have bands. Good, looks good. So we'll just hang on, sit tall, cover the balls of your feet. Just make sure you're more at the front of your mat. We will be rolling down in a second. So with the tall spine, open the arms a bit like you're hugging a big beach ball, assuming you're holding a band right now. If not, you can just hang on to your knees or shins. So as we exhale, roll back like you're rolling into a C curve. And you're pulling out on the elbows a bit. So we inhale there. And then to come out of this, we're just going to bring the chest forward so we're just straight in a straight line. So it's exhale to curl, deep pelvic tilt, and then inhale to come forward. So let's just do one more, very simple movement, but just sometimes the lower back can be a little stiff. So use the band to your advantage. Now we're gonna add on. So we're gonna roll back, not just to the top of the pelvis maximum. It doesn't even have to be that low, could be though. So now we're not gonna come up the same way. We're gonna pull our elbows back, lift the chest, but don't come up all the way, just part way. Look a little bit forward and up, not all the way to the ceiling. It might be too much for the neck, and then rounding back. And you can turn your wrists in to face each other here. Palms face in as you pull into almost a friendly cat position. So exhale, we round back, spin your wrists to face each other. You could touch the floor, I suppose, why not? And then inhale, arch, shoulder blades pinch. 2 more of those. Yeah, you got it, looks good. Exhale to curl, wrists in. So you're getting that little bit of a shoulder blades protraction. And then we squeeze the shoulder blades as we arch. Let's do one more. Make it as if you want to go right to the floor. Obviously the head won't touch. And arch. And then let's do the final one. We'll just take it all the way to the mat now. And we'll slide the feet in and we can just take the band off because we don't need that anymore. Grab your yoga block, or if you don't have, or a book or whatever it is, if the book's a little heavy, you can always just put a cushion between your knees, doesn't matter. We'll have the heels under our knees, basic lying position, hook lying position. You don't have to squeeze, whatever it is you're holding, don't squeeze it. It's just as a spacer. So what you don't want is your knees narrow and then your feet extra wide. So you want your feet right under wherever your knees are. So the object determines that somewhat because you can't change the width of the yoga block or the cushion. Okay, so here we go, just a regular bridge. So check that you're flat at your hips, take a breath in. As we exhale, curl the pubic bone to the chest until your lower back is just lightly, easily on the floor. Shouldn't be a big ordeal just to get the low back to touch. So you might notice a little bit of hamstring is working, so that's good. And then we continue that action to peel up into a higher and higher bridge. But start low, so just peel your low back up, pause, take a breath in, keep the curl, or the pelvic tilt. Exhale, second exhale, let's peel up maybe to the bottom rib, maybe a couple ribs up from there. Relax your chest away from the ceiling. Inhale, pause. Third one, we go all the way up to wherever we feel like we're still maintaining the pelvic tilt and not losing it by arching the chest. So everyone's going to be a little different, but more or less probably what I look like here. Breathe in at the top, heavy through the heels, long through the toes. And let's roll down, one long exhale, bring it down. Good. Second one will the same, we'll do 3 breaths again, but this time let's reach our arms in a different position. So this one, we'll reach the arms straight up above us, thumbs to our back wall, take a breath. So first exhale, just the basic pelvic tilt. So exhale, let's roll the hips under, nothing else moves. Breathe in, pause. Exhale, second exhale, bring it up to the bottom rib. Inhale, breathe into your back. So the position, if you're doing it well, you'll notice, okay, it's very easy to feel my air in the back of the body when you inhale. Third exhale, let's go to the maximum, whatever that is. Exhale, you're up, inhale, hold. And then final one, we'll exhale to come down. So just keep your fingers reaching, roll the spine down in one long exhale. Great. All right, third one, let's go a little quicker. So breathing in, we'll go all the way up on the exhale. Now, we're not going to come down all the way. We're just going to roll down to the upper back and then roll back up to the top. Let's do 2 more of those. So you roll, just slump the upper back down and then bring it up. So the hips aren't moving, it's just the upper back. Okay, and then we come down, let's come down to the bottom rib this time. So we're almost down, but your pelvis is still in the air in your low back, and then you roll all the way up. It's all coming from your glutes. So you roll down to the bottom rib, pulse up, down to the bottom rib, pulse up. Grand finale, we'll roll, well, not the grand finale, but we'll roll all the way down just to the lower back. We're not relaxed 100%. We will roll back up, roll down just to the lower back. So you're still in the pelvic tilt, squeeze back up. Last one. How are we doing out there? Yeah, looks good. And then final one, before we go down to the last one, just inhale, take the arms behind you. Now, if you're fairly flexible in your shoulders, you might be able to get your thumb tips on the floor, but without losing your position. But if it causes you to arch your back or is just uncomfortable, don't go so far with the arms and just roll down one vertebra at a time. Once you arrive at the ground, we'll bring the arms up. Let's take the block out of there. Let's put our hands behind the head, stretch the legs out in a straight line and flex them so your toes are pulled to the shin. So we'll just play with a few abdominal curls here. So we'll nod the chin, curl the face and ribs forward, and so you can peer down at your toes. Breathe in, and then let's roll back down. Second one, let's drag the right heel into the right foot's on the floor. Breathe in, same thing. So we curl, but once we're up, we're going to point the left toes. We're just going to do 5 leg kicks with the left. So up and down, just give you a bit of a hamstring stretch here. 4, so you can point up if you like, flex down. 2, last one. Now hold the leg up. It doesn't have to be straight if your hamstring doesn't like that. It could be a little bit bent, that's fine. Now from here, we're going to rotate towards the left outer leg. And then inhale, we come back. Let's bring it back to the floor. Actually, I'll give you a little breather. So we curl to the left. Inhale back. And we'll make this a little harder. We'll do 2 more, but this time as we curl to the left, lower your left leg down so it's almost on the floor. And then bring it back up as you go back to the mat. Last one, rotate left, always to the left. Left leg goes down, left leg goes up. And then let's bend the left knee, let everything rest. Stretch your right leg long. See if I can remember that. But before we do the other side, take your hands out for a second, interlace them the other way. You don't have to do it in front of you, but just, it's actually kind of awkward. But if you can, interlace your fingers the non-habitual way. I had one teacher say this changes the way your abdominals work. It's definitely better for your brain to do it too. So we curl up. Let's do our 5 leg kicks. So right leg kicks up. And we'll just stay up in the curl, building a little bit of endurance in our abdominals. Kick up, flex down. 2 more of those. Let me just see what everyone looks like there. Perfect, good. Last one, we hold up, adding a twist. So we rotate to the right, looking at your right elbow. Keep your both hips heavy. Inhale, we go back and down. We'll keep the leg up for 1 more. Rotate right, back. Now we're going to do the same rotation, still to the right, but lower the right leg almost to the floor. So your lower abs have to work a little harder. And then back, and then 1 more time. All right, now we'll keep center, bring both legs up in the air. They can be a bit bent. If it's a strain, just bend them. Okay, so we're going to do crisscross. So the right leg lowers, almost, not all the way, but almost. Reach the right on the cross, your left leg. There we go. And we switch. Inhale, center. So you can do this with bent knees. You can do it with straight legs. Depends on what's going on with your hamstrings. So let's go for 4. Oh, I'm really sweating. 3. Hopefully you guys have air conditioning. And come back to center. Let's lower one foot, lower the other foot. Relax. Okay, so we'll grab that yoga block or whatever, or the Julia Child, or whatever that cookbook is, Joy of Cooking, and put your right foot on top of it, on your block, and your left leg long. So, oh, one thing I should mention here, you want the sitting bones in line with the heels. So we're not too wide, nothing abnormal. We're just in line with the hip sockets. Okay, so you might have to look first, unless if you're just listening to me. But we've done this before, maybe not for a while, but maybe we haven't done it before. But we're going to stand into the yoga block just to peel your right glute off the floor. My left hip is still relaxed on the mat. I'm not doing nothing heroic here. It's really a nice inner thigh quad stretch here. One thing you want to watch once you come into the full position, make sure the right knee doesn't collapse in. So maybe think of opening your right knee out towards your right wall. My right shoulder is a tiny bit off the floor, but not excessively. Okay, and then we just roll back to where we started. So try 3 or 4. I'm just going to do a couple and then I'll watch you. You might have to look. So I'm flat here and I'm squeezing my right glute. So I'm just rolling onto my left hip, which is still on the mat. Let me just see if that makes sense. Yeah, so John, I think if you put your right foot on that book, your right foot stays on the book actually. Yeah, your right foot just, the right foot and the left leg, that's it. The left leg stays long, perfect. Yeah, and you're just rolling, kind of turning your pelvis, maybe rolling isn't the right word, you're just turning your navel to the left, you have to squeeze your right glute. And then I'll show you where this is heading. So the next time you open your hips to the left, so you've turned your pelvis to the left, right glute's working a little bit. Now you're gonna lift your butt, both hips in the air. So now there's a gap here under the left. And with that, we're gonna do 5 leg kicks with your left leg. Sorry guys, kick up and down. Your pelvis is turning to the left. Getting a little fancy here today. That's it, you got it, John, perfect. Yeah, so turn your pelvis. And we'll do a couple more. Yeah, so just make sure, Sarah, your pelvis, I think it is turned there. Sometimes it's hard to tell on the camera. And last one, and lower the left hip, relax to center. Let's repeat all of this on the other side. So left foot on the block, right leg straight. The first one, don't think of it as a bridge. It's more of a stretch. So I'm just turning, I'm just pushing on the yoga block a bit to open the left groin, let's call it, if you want to call it that. The left knee is opening to the left. I'm keeping a good foot tripod on my block, and I'm still relaxed on my right side. I haven't lifted the right side yet. We can do that later. We'll do it later. But for now, just get the basic position. This is really good for the lower back, the inner hip socket, and get the inner thighs, the quads stretched out. It can be an area of tension. So just do that a couple more times. That's it. Oh, that looks good. Yeah, that's good, Sarah. Yeah. And I see Charlotte. So your knee shouldn't be moving actually. So some of you are moving your left knee across to the right. Just don't let the left knee move. You'll get a better stretch. It's not wrong to do it that way, but you'll just get more out of it. Next time you open the hips or the belly button to the right, make sure your left knee is almost pushed to the left a bit. Don't let it fall into the right. Now we'll lift the right hip. So you have to squeeze everything. And then you swing your right heel up and down. Right leg kicks up. So you're doing a single leg kick, but you're on this slight diagonal with your torso and your body. So 2 more of those. There we go. See legs flying, looks good. All right, leg down, right hip down, roll to center. And now we can just move that brick or the blocker book out of the way. Give yourself a big hug, rock it out. Knees can be open if that feels nice. All right, so let's roll over onto one side. Use something, you might want to use something as a head cushion. Just a little more hip work. So we won't do too many for the sake of time, but just lie on one side. I'm going to use this block as my cushion, but you may have something nicer around the home. You could even use your own hand if you prefer. So we're on one side. So pull your bottom knee forwards. So that's out of the way, tabletop kind of thing in front of your navel or hip. Top leg is straight. Lengthen, put your hand on your hip and push the leg longer, push the pelvis longer. Now there should be a little waist gap here under the lower waist. And then we'll just put our hand on the floor. So we'll just do 8 simple leg raises. If you're truly, I'm gonna make this harder for you guys. Lean the top pelvic half forward a bit, your top hip forward towards your bottom side, because I see some of you are going like this a little bit. So you wanna really hit your mark. And when you get it, you can't really lift your leg that high because you get stuck. There's no more space and you're really in your glute medius, which is what we want. So if you just lean your top hip forward, because the tendency is to fall backwards, you'll get a lot more out of this. The simple, everything's simple, but if you do it well, as I say, it's just, you get more. So last one, hold it, ribs collected in, you still have a tiny gap there. Point your toes if you wish. 8 circles, super simple. Like you're drawing a baseball sized circle or a tiny bit larger than that, I suppose, on the wall beside you. Make sure the leg goes behind you, but with your hips slightly, top hips slightly leaning forward. Let's reverse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's finish by pulling the knee towards us. Grab your ankle. You can round your back here if you want, just to change it up a bit. And then into the quad stretch position, press your knee behind you, or as if it could go behind us. Slight pelvic tilt for this one. And then curl in, like your knees trying to touch your chin or forehead. And then inhale, open. You can almost get a top shoulder stretch here too if you have the length. I guess it's, if you have a shorter arm, you might get a stretch quicker. Curl in, last one, and back into the stretch. Now we're gonna let that go and just stack the legs, come up to a seated position, and take the top leg once again to the original spot beside us. We'll just do a quick plank here. So top leg is going to press down, well, you only have your foot on the floor, but press the inner edge of your foot down into your mat. You can lift up and reach your top arm up. We're just gonna hold this for 5, 4. So you have 2 legs to use, but try to focus on the straight leg inner thigh by the inner arch of your foot pressing down. Also your arm, obviously, and your waist. 3, 2, 1. Let's relax. Let's flip around. We'll do the other side. So the basic position. So side leg work, you always want your heel, the leg that you're working, heel in line with your hip and your shoulder. So we don't want to be kind of rounded, or we definitely don't want the leg in front of us. So in this position, just straight beside, and then lengthen the waist, ribs in, waist off the mat, and just do simple leg lifts. And if you're not sure, you can always hold your hip and don't let your pelvis move towards your ribs, because I could do this. I could do 50 of these and not be working. I'm not using my leg muscle too much. So really just anchor that hip, lean it forward a bit too if you really want to get in there. Pull your toes to your shin. So it's like you're cleaning the wall beside you with your sole. Let's go for 4. That's it. 3. And you want to feel a little more of the back of the glute too. So if you're too much in front, just remember to take the leg back a bit. So it's beside you. Now let's hold it, point the toes, backward circles for 8. Same concept, ribs, or sorry, waist stays long, containing the ribs here. Pretend you have paintbrushes on your toes and you're trying to make a perfect circle. And let's reverse. Remember to keep the hip leaning forwards for 8. 7, keep reaching, make your leg extra long, like someone's pulling on the ankle. And rest. Okay, and then from here, I feel like I'm forgetting something. I am. Let's quad stretch, grab your ankle, press the knee back, and pull it in, rounding like a cat, and then I don't want to say, let's not extend, let's just try to find hip extension, which is hard enough. So not arching the ribs here, but keeping the ribs contained, but then we'll let ourselves round to come out of it. Good. Last one. Hold. Now we're going to let go of this quad stretch in a second, but just enjoy the moment for a moment. And when we do let go, let's just go right into that plank. So you straighten your leg gradually, put the foot on the floor, come on up. You may have to just double check that the heel is still in line with your hip. So this is a bit like a Copenhagen plank. So it's more about the inner thigh here. So you push down through the foot, the forearm. You can use your bottom leg a bit, pick yourself up. You can reach up a bit. You can even incline forward just a tad. So your ribs are slightly turned towards your mat. And we'll just hold this for 5. So use the inner thigh by driving your inner arch into the floor. 3, everyone looks good. 2, 1, and relax. Let's roll onto our belly to finish in swan position, or maybe not the official swan, but we'll just rest first on our stomachs. And just for some hip relief, why don't we open our knees quite wide? You can go as wide as your mat if you want, or wider, whatever feels good, depending on how tall you are. And just let the legs windshield wiper. That's not really a word, but it's not a verb, but you know what I mean. Side to side. Let the shin, one falls in, other goes out. And let your pelvis move. You don't have to worry about stability for this one. Then bring both shins straight up, even though we're quite wide, I would imagine. Now we're gonna do a crisscross pattern. So let both shins fall in, so you kind of, you're cross-legged in a sense, and you kick out. And you just alternate what ankle is in front. Very quick, just like a pulse. Just relaxed. Out, in, out, in, out, in. Great. All right, then we'll come back to legs parallel, back on our mats. And let's bring this into, we'll just do single leg lift today with chest lift. So we'll leave the hands on the floor, shoulder blades wrapped down. Breathe in, and as we exhale, sink your pelvis just lightly. Glutes will kick in naturally. We float the forehead up, the right leg up from the hip crease, and we're looking straight ahead. And it's okay to press your elbows a little bit down to get the wrapping of your shoulder blades. And then we'll ease back down, and we just alternate. Left leg as we exhale. Inhale for length, coming back down. Exhale, arc up. Reach as if someone's pulling your foot, your leg longer. Not so long that we destabilize the hips, of course, but there's a too long, just as long as we need to get. Good. Now we'll do doubles, but to change this, we'll bring the arms beside us, double leg lifts with double palm lifts and face lifts. So we breathe in, and chest lifts too. As we exhale, everything floats up, legs, arms, face, chest, and then we slowly ease down. Let's do 3 more of those. So get longer first, arcing up like a dolphin, and down. 2 more of these, arcing up. All right, grand finale. So you can stick with this one. We're just going to hold it. Or, so once we're up, you can pause. So sort of, this one is the least amount of energy in the back. It's still good, but if you want a little extra, bring your arms into a T position. Gradually turn your thumbs up. Keep the legs strong. You can bring your arms in front of you now, if that feels okay. If you might want to stay wide if your shoulders are a little tight. So like more like a letter V, or if the official Pilates one is straight ahead, it's totally up to you. But we'll just do flutter kicks, or swimming, they call it. So alternate opposite arm and leg for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we'll pull the arms back, relax, push up into your shell stretch or child's pose position. Just relax. Any variation, hands in front, hands behind, hands in the low back. Just let your breath return to normal if it isn't already. Just breathe into your back body. As you inhale, exhale all the air out. And then when you're ready, we'll just slowly roll ourselves off our shins, coming up 1 vertebra at a time. All right. So thanks, everyone. Let's